everybody. I'm Chris Kappas, and welcome to Perspectives TV. I want to welcome our special guest today, Kerry Smith. Kerry, thank you for being here. And for those out there that know Kerry, Kerry is the president and CEO of Red 7 Media, who brings to you a number of just great publications, Event Marketer Magazine, Event Design, to name just a couple. We're in Chicago. We just went through a day-long session with Kerry and Dan Hanover, talking about trends and a lot of new ideas that are affecting marketers out there. And we're here to talk to Kerry about some of the trends that we're all seeing. And Kerry, what are you seeing as some of the key trends driving event marketing today?
Well, I think everybody, given what's going on in the world, needs to be proving the performance of their events. So there's more pressure than ever on the people who are creating events, and whether it's a trade show booth or a consumer event, to make sure that the event is delivering measurable business results. So, that's always been, an issue, but it's more so now. So you've got, senior management that's scrutinizing every dollar that's being invested. So these events have to perform. So it's causing marketers and their agencies and their other partners to really look really closely at what kind of experiences they're delivering and how they're going to measure performance. Yeah.
You had, as a wrap-up to the day, listed 10 imperatives, if you will. Why don't you share those with the team? And knowing, not to give away the secret here, but you're still on your tour. You got some events on the East Coast coming up. But why don't you give us a highlight of some of those imperatives that our audience needs to be aware of and think about going forward?
Okay, I'm going to try and remember all 10. Two of them are authenticity and relevance. In terms of how you're creating and designing these events. So understanding who your audience is, understanding what your brand represents, and making sure you're creating experiences that really connect what your brand is all about to your audience on an emotional level. If you can do that, that's going to create a deeper engagement, and deeper engagements lead to other good things like sales, like a better understanding of the brand, and those kinds of things. So relevance and authenticity are really important. This whole idea of lengthening the engagement, we're really focusing on an engagement and how much time you have to spend with somebody in order to communicate your message, and then building your event around that engagement, and what goes in that. What's going to keep that person engaged for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever you've defined. So that idea of engagement window is really important. Green. Continues to be an important aspect of everything that we're doing, not just in the event world, but throughout our lives. But I think that events are seen as a wasteful industry. In fact, they're number 2 behind the construction industry in terms of what the EPA has deemed the most wasteful industry out there. So I think there's an imperative for all of us that are in the event business to really look at our practices and the materials that we're using to try and be environmentally responsible. I think we're going to see clients, especially Fortune 50 or Fortune 100 clients, mandating green standards with their vendors in the agency and the event world and the marketing world in general. And I think we're going to see a lot of vendors developing new materials and experimenting with different ways to construct their structures in a way that doesn't sacrifice the look and feel or the high-end fit and finish that people are looking for. Another one is taking credit. I don't think event people take enough credit for the impact that we're delivering to business results. So often, whether delivering a trade show experience or delivering a consumer experience or delivering a mobile roadshow experience, the event people are coming back with leads and data and all that kind of stuff, and then sometimes it just sort of disappears, and the event people lose track of it. And if you lose track, you lose custody of those results. And if you lose custody of those results, it's very difficult for you to prove the performance and really show what kind of contribution you're making to the business results of your company. So I think it's an imperative for every event person to look for ways to take credit for impacting business results. It could be number of leads versus last time around. It could be positive feedback from attendees on an event. Whatever it is, everybody needs to be seeking and taking credit for the positive impact that their results are making, because at the end of the day, if you're not defending yourself during budget meetings or when management is scrutinizing why they're spending all this money on these events, you're not making a case for what contributions you're making to the company that are real bottom line results. You're vulnerable to the whims of people looking to cut budgets. So I think it's really important that everybody be thinking in terms of what is the outcome of all this hard work, and it's got to be more than everybody looked like they're having a good time and we had a lot of traffic.
Right. You have 5 others, which I probably won't share with our group because you have some other destinations. What are your next stops that you're doing the countdown? If you
Well, Chicago we wrapped up today. Next stop is Minneapolis in a couple of days, and then we finish it up in New York on November 11th.
November 11th, okay. Last question for you. How do you feel as an industry we're faring versus the other marketing media in terms of credibility among senior management?
In the studies that we've done with senior management, events continue to rise in terms of their perception of the strategic value of events. That said, I think relative to other forms of media and marketing right now, events obviously are having a tough time. I think a lot of companies have not done a good enough job documenting the performance and the return on investment of their events over the last couple of years. And hey, when times get tough, management starts asking the tough questions. And right now, every marketing professional is being asked tough questions, but event people more so, because there still exists this opinion of senior marketers that events are extremely expensive. So when they're looking to cut back, it's always easy to not do an event. It's tougher to not do an advertising campaign that's been committed to over the course of a long period of time. So a lot of things that we're seeing happen right now is companies where they're cutting back on events are cutting back on a lot of internal events that aren't customer facing. So they'll cancel the annual sales meeting, but they're not going to cancel the annual dealer meeting. They'll cancel an internal recognition program, but they're not going to cancel a trade show exhibit in front of a very important audience. So again, I think there still is that thinking out there that events are expensive relative to other forms of marketing. And I think where you see a lot of activity now, not surprisingly, is anything web related, including social media. That's a huge playground, sandbox that marketers are playing with right now to spend a little and just get maximum impact virally. But I think advertising is getting hammered right now. The big ad agencies are having tough times, and some of the other disciplines as well.
I lied. One more question. It seems from our perspective that perception's reality. So if you perceive this channel as being marketing and not sales, that has potential negative ramifications versus looking at this channel as a sales channel. When you think about this is a sales channel, a customer-facing sales channel opportunity, perceptions start to change. Do you have any evidence that speaks to that?
Yeah, a lot of the best practices that we've been talking about at this series of seminars centers around, what we're saying is a trend, sort of always been there in events, but it's becoming more focused on now, which is the transactional opportunity that events provide. And so you're seeing a lot of, whether it's a consumer program that is now taking place outside a retailer's store, where the consumer is near where they can purchase the product, and you're going to influence them right before they enter the store with some sort of educational experience or fun experience around the brand. Whether it's a trade show exhibit where, there's a focus on, not just number of people who came through, but number of quality conversations and leads generated. So you're starting to see this transactional element work its way into a lot of events today,
yes,
where it's designed to sell. We say it all the time. We're not in the face-to-face business. We are, but we're in the conversion business.
Exactly.
Every event needs to convert someone from a trier to a buyer at some point in time. And it's always been the case, but I think it's more so now with what's going on in the world. We should all be thinking about how we can convert prospects into customers.
So I think the message today is converting triers to buyers. That's the key word, triers to buyers. That's our episode today. I want to thank you, Kerry. Always a pleasure. And tune us in the next episode. Thank you.